So we are here to explore how to make this movement inclusive for all of our different students in our classes. And you can see that there's a lot going on. So let's break it down. We're going to, first of all, build up little by little to the whole sequence, and then essentially you will stop somewhere along that way to find the part that is relevant for that class. So the first thing, something like having the flexion in the knees, because you can see that we've got that in that seated position and the stepping through, and then transferring the weight forward and backward. Doesn't look much like the sequence, but it's got some elements of it. Shoulder problems, the hands come down. So you've prevented anyone who's got wrist problems from not being able to do it, shoulder problems, not super strong, not super bendy, etc. But you're playing with balance, transfer of weight, etc. Let's say students are feeling more able, then you could go into bringing the hands a bit lower, center of gravity a bit lower, feeling a bit steadier, and then stepping back and then bringing down, either working on bringing the knee down and forward, knee down and adding in a twist, and then coming back. And the other option, of course, would be to add in the twist with this transfer of the weight here. And again, this movement by itself might bring about a little bit more wobbliness. So we could practice those and do that on the other side, adding in the twist and in, or the simpler version is just kneeling up or adding in the twist. Much more stable, center of gravity is lower, and obviously the knees down. So that might be where you get to with the same class or with another class. Some students might go to one, some students might go to the other. Let's assume that down dog is manageable. Then we're going to add in a little bit more core control, core stability. We're going to go to knee hover and lift with the option to lower slowly. Place the knees, rest here or in child pose, and then go back. Hover and lift. And then we could make it stronger by going knee hover, plank, knee hover, down dog, and then we could layer that up with knee hover, plank, knee hover, pull the hips back, down dog. So if we'd added together those two elements, the Utkatasana or chair pose, and then let's say most students were managing this, then we know that we are up for adding the whole thing together. Otherwise you might explore one of those mini sequences in one class, one of those mini sequences in another class, and maybe after a period of time add the whole thing together. So adding it together, let's start from here, knee hover, and then stepping the leg forward, and then let's look at making that a little bit more simple. So option 2, step from here, knees down, forward, a bit more simple, tabletop, walking that leg around, that, or walking that leg around. So whatever version of any of those is how you build that one up. So let's say this is coming, then we're adding in the twist, down, and then take that on the other side. If you're trying to get them through the whole sequence, prep it enough, but not so much that people are already exhausted. So there's a certain skill to how much you continue through things. So next part, we've had the twist. We're going to practice coming up to standing from here, something like this. It doesn't look exactly like the sequence, I know, but I've added in the twist because it's a bit more challenging. Or you could just come up to here, and then let's practice taking the weight forward, back, bum ba-dum, back. So I'll say it with some usual words. You could start from down dog and step, or you could pull the knees down and step, or you could go from plank and step, down dog or knees bent step, add in your high lunge twist, up to a standing active twist, through to Utkatasana, step it back, bring the hand down, both hands down, down dog with a bend. So you're in this like pouncing pouncing position or bear crawl kind of position. Fantastic. So the point of that was we're getting used to moving really dynamically and transferring the weight in that leg, and I'm practicing this active hip flexion and the core's really kicking in. And so that's usually around about there for most usual people would be enough. And then if you've got very agile students, you would practice step, twist, slide the leg behind, sit. I tend to then go and just give people a bit of a breather here, then push, step back, and then back to that starting position. So it's a step, you're just sliding in really, and people can kind of make it as gentle as they want to, and then turning it into Ardha Matsyendrasana, it's called, seated twist, half Lord of the Fishes. Obviously it's a more gentle version in some ways because I'm not bothering to go to here, but it's a nice little twist. And then shifting the weight forward, you might want to have a breakdown of that. So you might have people try to just lift and come down. That would be another part to add in. If this whole like, oh, how do I get the weight forward in order to lighten up the load of the leg, you would practice that a little bit. And back. So, assuming that anybody wants to try more, you could then try getting the leg through. So stepping, and this back leg then is going to kick all the way through. So you just focus, have them focus on this pulling in and this deep hip flexion to bring it through. If you want to then slow it down, as in a twist again. Good, and then let's look at the lowering. So to make that gentler, bring the leg forward, knees bent, hold on, lower a little bit, come up or lower a lot. Option to bring the head down, that's going to be a bit gentler. Arms over to kind of pull up or push up. And then I'll do one more and then show the stronger version. Back and back. Boom. So then say this leg does seem to be coming through, say someone can get that all the way through, and then they're ready to lower the leg. Then obviously longer legs is going to be stronger, or you could just hover the legs, come up, bend the same leg, pull back and back. And that is the whole thing. So what I would tend to do then is offer staying with a step, however you got there, and a twist. I would stay usually with those who are going to the more gentle version. And then I would just offer, like, if anyone's feeling really strong, so if that seems to be coming quite easily, feel free to come through to a seated twist and step it back. Oh, amazing, that's looking great. Yeah, exactly, you can, and then you talk to the person that's doing it more gently, say just stay with that and then step back when you're ready. And then the person who's looking more strong, you say like, okay, diddle-a, and then you show the whole thing once and then go more gently yourself in your own time. So then say we got the heart rate up strongly and it was like super dynamic practice, I would then look at how am I going to slow this down more so that you then have that calming yogic part before trying to get anyone to their meditation or their shavasana, their relaxation. So all of these of course can be held as a long slow hold. So if you do super slow version, a long down dog, a low lunge or a high lunge, or a twist for longer, or you could make it deeper if people seem to be more warmed up. You could add in the seated twist here, or this one we looked at already for longer. You could bring that through into a forward fold for longer. You could turn it into a side angle, slow it right down, take the whole thing on the other side, and then it starts to look more like a yoga practice again. And so you've just got a little bit of options. So firstly, it can be really useful to just add in that bit more active mobility work, especially for women around about menopause, perimenopause, it's really important. And then also with anxiety, you actually want to upregulate a little bit, get the heart rate up as much as someone feels that they can cope with, and then downregulate can be fantastic for mental health. Subscribe for more, and if you're interested in my online training courses or my 300-hour, get in touch and let's talk.